Welcome to No Code 100. We are going to learn how to build a food delivery app without writing any code at all or knowing how to code using flutterflow.io. So here's a first look at the app and how it works. So when you load the app, you're taken to this page, and after that few seconds, you'll be taken over to this onboarding flow where you can actually see different options, and then you can click on Get Started or Next. And what will happen here is that we'll be taken over to the access location, or I think login or sign up page. You can log in or choose to sign up. And once you sign up, you can be taken to this page where you can access your location using Google's Play Speaker. It's something that you can do on Flutterflow. And once you access the location, you're taken to the home page. Okay. Now, this is a live example of how the home page actually works once you load it up. And we're actually connected to Firebase right now, which is a real database that we're storing different restaurants and some dummy data. All right. So, for example, I can click on any category here, maybe the burger category, and I can check for restaurants around me and food items that are categorized as burgers, right? I can also sift through other options here. Okay. Next is that you can also search. You can search for a particular restaurant, right? So you say burgers, whatever you want, and then you get those options here. Okay, so this is how it works. Now, the next thing that we can also do is that we also have an orders option here where we can see our past orders, cancelled orders, and everything. I just made an order 4 minutes ago and I didn't pay for it, so that's why it's showing as cancelled here. So now for to actually pay a restaurant, we can pick any restaurant of our choice, maybe this one here, and we already have an item in our cart. We can click on the cart and we have an item of what 16,000. We can increase it a bit, and then we can click on place order. Now for some reason on Flutterflow's run mode to test while I'm testing the app, there's the launch URL option is not working, but once I click here, it's supposed to take me to the payment option to pay. So you can see it on your screen how it looks like, maybe from a recording on my phone. But yeah, so this is the entire flow of the app. Now if there's any question you have, you can ask below, but let's go into the next phase of this video. So the idea here is that I built this entire application using a Figma design. Now I was on my TikTok one day and I saw a Figma design and I really liked, and I said, okay, I'm going to use this Figma design to build out my application. This is the Figma design here. Now, for me, I feel it's a testament that Flutterflow, even with no code, you can build your own custom designs. You can build really beautiful designs with Flutterflow based on whatever design or template that you have. Now, Figma, basically just like Flutterflow, if I click on my Flutterflow dashboard, right? Let's see. If I click on my Flutterflow dashboard, you notice that on the right side of the screen, sorry that it's a bit squished, but I'm trying to show you something on the left, right? So it's a bit squished, but if I click on any element right now, you notice that on the right side of the screen, I can see different options to be able to control that element, right? For example, now if I click on 60 for this font size, 60, it will increase, okay? But that's not what we need right now. Okay, so that's it. Now on Figma, if you go to Figma, you can also click on different elements, and then you see the elements, the properties by the right side of the screen. Now, I did not design this myself, but normally when I want to build an application and I want the application to really look good and feel good, right? I'll normally work with a professional UI designer, and they will build it out on Figma, and I'll now use Figma as like my guide. So I'll click on different elements like this and check how it looks or how they were able to do it, and I'll use it as a guide to build my own application, which I'm going to show you today. Don't worry, you're going to be able to build amazing apps after this video. Now, from Figma also, I use Figma as like a guide to help tell me how the app was going to behave, how the app was going to function, right? That's something that many people don't understand. Sometimes when you want to build an app, you go blind. Even if you say you know everything you want, you still don't know everything you want. And I talk to people that want to build apps almost every single day, so I know this thing. Some people tell me I want to build an app like this. That's not just it. You need to really plan it down. Either you're going to use user flows, maybe you draw a diagram on a paper, or you use Figma. For example, now Figma, since I didn't build this up myself, I'm just using it and saying, okay, the user wants, the designer wants it to be that when they click on this button, they go to this page, things like that. So that's what I'm now using. Now from the Figma design here, I noticed that there were certain features that I needed to build out for this application, because I was using the Figma designs as my guide basically. And if you want the access to the Figma design, I put the link down below. Right now, this Figma designs, I got it from a free platform, just in case maybe you have a question about that. So I just checked for free Figma designs. So basically, you check freefigmatemplates.com. You have access to a lot of beautiful Figma templates you can use to practice your Flutterflow, app design skills, right? That's really, really cool. Now, let me go back to this template here. And the template is really, really cool. I love the template. Now, while looking at it, there were some things I changed. There are some things I didn't add. For example, when I looked at this design, I saw this ingredient section. I didn't really think it was necessary. No, just my own thoughts, basically. If I'm doing it for somebody professionally, I might really talk to the person and really understand what the person really wants. But I didn't think it was necessary, so I removed it. As you can see on the screen, you see how my app works and looks. Okay, so after looking at the entire design and studying it for some time, I understood that the things I needed to add for just this simple, MVP build was a user registration and profile management system. As you can see, you can register, and then you can also edit your profile here and things like that. Then you also needed a restaurant search and menu section, right, where you could search for your favorite foods and things like that, which is here. I also built that. An ordering system. So the way it works is that you can click on a restaurant or something, or you can click on a particular food item. And when you click on the restaurant, you can add to cart. I think for the food section, you can also add to cart. Maybe you want a particular food item. Maybe if you click from here, right, and then once you go to add to cart, you go to the edit. This is the add to cart section. When you've added it to cart, then you can place an order, right, and things like that. But here's an example of where some things are not really clear in the design. If you click on edit, it's not clear where this edit for delivery address will go to. Either it goes over to maybe this page. There's a page down here where you have my addresses and things like that, which is it's cool. But for me, in a UI UX perspective, and let me explain perspective there. UI UX is how your app should look and feel. To make it's how your users should feel when they interact with your app. And one thing you need to know is that certain things should be easy for your app, for your users. You should not make your users have to jump to so many pages when they can do it on one single page, right? And in that note, I did not, since in this design there was no clear option as that when you click on edit, something will happen. So what I did, let me show you something. So in the app, this is the cart section, okay? And in the cart section, let's just do like a quick preview. You click on that eye icon, you can preview the app. It's a quick way to preview your design. So you can see, as you can see, this is the way I did mine. So if you click on edit, a simple bottom sheet to open up with all the addresses showing, and then you can now click on manage address or something. I had to do that particular design myself, and there's a lot of that in this application where I had to do some certain designs by myself, just thinking that okay, this doesn't make sense, because it was not clear. The design is not, because when you're working with templates, sometimes they don't really cover all the bases. Just build something quick and they are gone, but it's still good, a good foundation to work with. Now, when you place an order, the next thing you go is to this profile, the payment section. But I didn't use this section. I used a simple pay stack link. Now, one thing you need to understand is that you can, if you want to accept payments in your app, most times you have to connect to external providers like Stripe, PayPal, or in Nigeria, for example, Paystack, right? These are platforms that help you connect or add payments to your application. You have to use what you call an API to add those features to your app, and it's simple to actually install it in Flutterflow. We'll talk about that shortly. Now we have another thing that we use, real-time order tracking. Now I'm not really going to talk about this real-time order tracking. I was able to incorporate it. You can see a video on the screen of it in action. But my issue with it is now is that after I was able to incorporate it, I had an issue with my expenses. I think within a 3-day period, after only testing it like 5 or 6 times, my expense on Google went up to almost $200. So I don't recommend you do that. That's just my own experience. And where did I get the feature to actually incorporate into my app? I actually got it from Flutterflow's blog. Flutterflow has a blog. Yeah, I don't know. I think I have it here. So let me see. I think they have it. I should have it around here. Okay, yeah. Flutterflow actually has a blog. All right. So let's see the blog here. Live tracking in Google using maps. So I just use the blog. Now, when you first go on to the blog, it will tell you that you need background knowledge in Flutter. You need to know how to code basically for you to actually use this section. But I agree and I disagree also, because if you've been using Flutterflow for some time, you should be able to know how to maybe work around it a bit. Now, for me, when I first used this blog, I didn't know how to code at all. That was like around last year. But this year, I still decided to just use it into my app. But this was the first time I really tested it out for some time to see how well it worked. And it just ramped up my Google spend. Now, I'll explain that shortly. So that's why I won't recommend you use it, but it's a feature I added to the app. I just disabled it for a bit of time so I could really track what was happening. But this is a simple training from Flutterflow on how to build an app like Uber basically. And in Flutterflow, you have a feature to add custom code into your app. So if you go to Flutterflow here, you can actually come over to this section here, which is the custom code section, and you can actually add custom code. Now, every let me say 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, these 7 sections of custom, it's called custom functions, right? They are very simple. It's a way to actually maybe calculate something, or it's very simple. Now, I might explain that in another video, what custom functions, all these things are, but this is a way or a place where you can customize your app if you want to customize it, right? Maybe you want to add certain code. And all this code here for custom function, I didn't write it myself. AI wrote it for me. I use ChatGPT a lot. Right, this ChatGPT OpenAI. Now, I recommend you also use it a lot when you're learning things like this. So ask it questions and so on and so forth. But let me just break down this screen a bit. Let me increase this screen a bit. Okay. Yeah. So I recommend you use ChatGPT a lot to ask it questions. Right. That's what I recommend. So bear with me right now while I interrupt this video to tell you about my Flutterflow Training Academy. If you want to build apps with no code, you want to build amazing, powerful apps, iOS, Android, web, right? You want to learn within a month how to do all of these things, check out my course. I started Flutterflow less than a year ago when I did not know anything about writing any code. I didn't have any experience whatsoever. I had to teach myself without much materials available. And all my experiences so far, I'm going to give it to you. The same training process I use, the same language, I'm going to give it to you very easy. Because many times when you see some videos, they are using some languages that you don't understand. It's visually they are communicating to developers. But I'm here to communicate to you, the no-code developer. And it's going to help you out a lot. I'm going to provide one-on-one this in support to help you. You can ask me questions. You can jump on a call with me. It's amazing. Now, if you're interested, check my link down below. You see my WhatsApp number. Just message me. That is that simple. Anyways, I use AI to generate almost all my code, and even in Flutterflow, if you check it out, you see that Flutterflow has an OpenAI codex section where you can click on it, and then you can use OpenAI to generate your custom function code. You can ask OpenAI what custom functions are, versus custom widgets and custom actions. Okay. Now, the second thing I would say here is that, sorry, some things I was playing around, but this is the code here for what I did. This is called the root view live, and I got it from Flutterflow's guide, and I just copied and pasted, and I'll change some name. I changed some names, but I kept some things relatively the same. So I just copied and pasted. That's all I did. Now, if you are just a beginner, you might not want to do this. It is not necessary. For me, I'll say it's not necessary. But I did it, but I had to disable it because I saw a ramp up in my Google spend. Now, you need to understand that Flutterflow is it builds Flutter apps, and Flutter apps in general. Flutter as a language or as a framework is a platform built by Google. It's an open source platform built by Google, right? So Flutterflow takes advantage of a lot of Google tools to make your apps faster, better, things like that. And so that's something we can talk about in a different video. But you need to understand that for maps functionality to track maybe live tracking and those kind of functionality, which I will do in another video when I optimize this and when I make it work, I will do an Uber clone video, right? But those kind of features, it's provided by Google. So Flutterflow has, I think they have some guides on how you can enable your Google API, because it's an API. The API is a way for you to connect to another external platform and talk to them or connect with it, things like that. So basically, there's a section in Flutterflow, settings section, where you have Google Maps. You can click on it. If you click on it, you will see your 3 options: web, mobile, and iOS, where you can actually connect those APIs from there. And there's a guide on it. So one thing you need to make sure you pay attention to is Flutterflow's guides. Let me exit some of these sections here. Flutterflow has a guide, and basically, if you go to Flutterflow documentation, you can have access to this section here where you can click on search, and you can search for something like maps, for example. Now you can click on it and study more about it. It gives you different guides into most of Flutterflow's features, which is amazing. Okay, so you see how it works. You can enable it on Google, but you need to know that it's a paid feature. So I don't know why it ramped up my Google spend. I even had $200 credit from Google. It still took a lot of it, and it was a dummy account. Thank God I found it early enough to disable it. Okay, so that's for that. The next thing I had to work on was delivery address management. So in the design, It was quite simple to see. I just used this same element to build it out. Even if you see this preview, it's still the same thing, but just as like a bottom sheet. And a bottom sheet is something that, like this, basically. This is what a bottom sheet is called. Okay. Now, the next thing here is ongoing orders and basis and orders history. So I had an orders history section that will show orders that are ongoing. Maybe as delivery rider is coming or something, you can see the ongoing orders here, and then history. You can look at orders that have been completed or something in the past, right? Okay, so the next thing is social sharing, which I will talk on a bit, not really much, but I'll just talk about it a bit, right? So we're going to be doing just 10 screens from our design here, so we don't take too much time. Now there's about 40 screens here, but one thing you quickly understand in design is that design is, I will not say repetitive, but it is harmonious. There's always going to be harmony in design, and harmony means that different things as you can see here, they look alike. Buttons, colors, it is done that way specifically so that the app can be beautiful. Design doesn't have to be complicated, and that's something you need to know. You can do your own research about it, but this is when you see that somebody is actually a good designer. So why I'm saying I'm only doing 10 pages out of 40 pages, that by the time I show you how I built some of these 10 pages, I picked some of the most tricky pages that might be for you as a beginner. So when I build some of these 10 pages, you'll be able to use the same knowledge I use to build some of these pages to build other pages that are here too, and just replicate the process, right? So we are going to go on to the onboarding page, and on Flutterflow, you make sure that you sign in and create a Flutterflow account, right? So once you sign up and create a Flutterflow account, you'll be directed to, so I think I might log out here. I might have to log out, or go over to a new page. So once you register and you create your Flutterflow account, you'll be greeted with a dashboard like this, not with these different projects, right? But you'll be greeted with a dashboard like this. And that dashboard, you can click on create new, okay? And then you can create a new project, right? So we're going to create a new project, right? Let's see. We'll call this project just test, right? So that's what we're going to call it. You just click on create blank. Now, we're going to see all these steps on Flutterflow. You can skip all of them, right? Now, some of the things that you need to note that are very, very important for you to note is that you have something down here, second to the last, which is called the design system, and it can get overwhelming to start with it. If you're starting just to learn and play around, don't focus on this here. But if you're starting to build an app you want to launch to the market right now, the first thing you need to do is you need to come and set your colors, right? So you notice that in this app here, there are a lot of different kind of colors that you can see here. You can see a lot of different colors. Now, basically, maybe if you don't know how to set your colors, Flutterflow already gives you access to, okay, this is your primary color, secondary color. But I feel that while this is really, really cool, my own opinion is that it can be quite bulky or hard to, work with this same system unless you're already a designer. So for me, it's always hard for me to work with this. I always let my designers pick out the colors and tell me what to add, right? But one cool thing with Flutterflow is that number one, you can import colors from Coolors. If you don't know what Coolors is, it's a platform that can allow you to check out different colors, how they match together. You can search it online. You can also extract a color from an image, which is really, really cool. So basically, I can take a screenshot of this color right now, right? I can take a screenshot of the color and then I can put it in Flutterflow. So let me give an example. So I can just take a screenshot of this button, for example, and then I can take that, button. So sorry, I might have to just come here, extract from image. I can take that button. So I think I have to look for screenshot. Okay, it's showing now. So it's saved. Okay, so as you can see, I have all the colors showing here, but when you go to extract and continue, you will still need to tell the colors where to be and where to behave. And even though you have all these colors here, you can still create your own custom, add color and create your own custom colors and everything for both dark mode and light mode, right? That's really cool. Now for me, I normally turn off. Sometimes I turn off dark mode because in that design I didn't have both dark mode and light mode in that design. Now the next thing for me, I feel that you can go to maybe ChatGPT and ask it for like a color palette or something. But for me, I don't really want to go off track. But this might sound weird. But if I was going to be setting my own color system, I might try and go to bubble.io to actually set up a cool color system. Now, Bubble was my first no code platform I started with. So for me, it just brings back a lot of memories. And I remember that if you go to their style section, they give you a better, maybe like a better guide for like a no code developer or somebody who has doesn't have any design experience. And basically, if you go to element styles, I believe, or style variables, you see something here. So basically, you see something like primary color. So primary color for primary buttons, actions or hover treatment or clickable elements, primary contrast, color of text for icons or primary button. So basically they give you the different colors, and so if you create a new color variable, you can create your own description here. And I think those descriptions are really, really important for your flow of your design. So, like I said, it's good. It's better to be able to describe them. I think that's something that Flutterflow should be able to add. That's just my own. I think I like Bubble for that. But other than that, I think it's just my own personal reference. So you can go there. You can use that reference to build your own. And if you don't want to use Flutterflow, you can just be adding your own color, and then you can name it. You can use your own names for it based on what you have from Bubble, and it can help you out in your a lot, because sometimes this feels overwhelming for me. Then to typography and icons, you can actually come over here and you can set your different typographies and things like that. And this also feels overwhelming sometimes, but it's necessary. Okay. Then you have what you call team widgets. And this is one that is very, very powerful. And team widgets is a way for you to create. Now you need to understand that if you're a beginner, which you know, I want to just tell you how it works, like how Flutterflow works in a very, very basic way, right? I have much more like longer classes with students, and you can check it out, like I said before. But basically, everything you see on your screen is a widget. It works based on Flutter principles that even if you're writing code, you'll still work with it. But everything you see on your screen is a widget, is an individual component. Now think of yourself as a human being. As a human being, you have your hand, you have your eyes, you have your nose, and all of these things come together to make to make you as beautiful as you are, right? Same thing with apps. When you look at an app, you look at the entire beauty of the app, how the app looks, but you don't remember that that app, when somebody was building it, they had to put a text here, they had to put space here, they had to put a button here. And all of those things are individual widgets, individual components that you have to put together to make your app beautiful. Now, that is it. Everything in your application is a widget. Simple and short. So now in Flutterflow, if you want to create a new widget, you see that there are different type of widgets. There's icon button, containers. And when I first started, I thought that, oh, all these widgets, they might not be enough for me to actually build an amazing app. But it's a lie. You can build different kind of app styles with this widget, and I'll show you in this video. Okay. So in this team widget section, you can come here and you can make up how your different widget styles should look and behave. And this is really cool because you can just use that when you create your design here, anywhere you want to design that same or use that same feature or that same style, you can just easily copy from this style you've created here. So for example, now let's just create some simple style so you can see how you can use it in your own design when you're starting out, because it can make your app building faster. But firstly, I'll click on a button. Let's create a button. So we just say primary button. Okay, create. Okay, so now we have our button here. So what I'm going to do first is that I would click on this text. When you click on this section here, you can tell the widgets like which sections you want to ignore when you are copying the style of the widget you're creating. So this is the style we're creating right now. Now I don't want the text to be copied, so you can click and turn that off. It's a new feature from Flutterflow, and the other things you can turn off too, but the text is the major one. Okay, so we can go to our Figma design, and this is the first time we're going to see how we can actually copy a design from Figma. So we'll start with the button first. So you see this button, I mistakenly imported this design here. Let me delete it. So see this button, let's look at it now. This button, the color is, this is the color here. So one thing I might do right now is that I would go to the primary, I'll go to the primary color section, these colors, and then I'm going to add this color as the primary color. Okay. Now, next thing I'm going to do here is, you can see it has already affected this color here, which is really cool. So you see how everything is interconnected, right? Then I am going to remove this text. I forgot to save that. Now the next thing is the font size. So let's see the font size. Let me click on this font. So you can see you can click different elements, and the font size is 14 bold, right? So we'll say something like the font size should be 14, right? And then it should be bold. So we'll click on bold. Okay. Okay, so next thing is that we need the width. So the width should be, we say infinite. So the width should be infinite. So it should be quite big. Then the height or should be like 62. Okay, so 62. All right, that's it. Now that we've done that, we can click on save, and the other things you can still edit there. But this is really cool. Now, any single time you want to edit, even if you use this button in 1,000 areas in your app, if you just come and edit this one here, everywhere will change. It is amazing, freaking amazing, guys. Now, let's see. For text, um, I might not really need to do text so much, but let's just start building out the app. So we'll come over here and we'll start with a blank page. Right? So let's start with a blank page. Now, you need to understand that everything is a widget, like I said. I'm going to give you a simple preamble. Now, we have two types of widgets. We have layout elements majorly and base elements. Now, layout elements are widgets that can hold, remember, you can replay this video if you don't understand, but they can hold more than one element inside. They can hold a lot of elements, and they are basically, their goal is to tell those elements how to behave. And typically the elements that will be inside of layout elements are base elements here, and there are other type of elements, but majorly base elements. Now, layout elements are elements, they don't really have much visual appeal to them. They are only there most times to give instruction to other widgets, how to behave this way, align this way, things like that. They tell them how to behave, where to behave, or where to be placed on the page. Do you understand? We majorly call them parent elements, and the base elements we call them child elements, right? Now, for example, you can see that these child elements here, none of them can hold another widget inside of them. They are just there for like some kind of visual iteration, for example, an image, things like that, right? So now I remember I'm speeding up here. Layout elements that we're going to majorly use some things like column, rows, containers, right? Columns are layout elements that can tell other elements inside of them how to behave from top to bottom, right? From top to bottom. So right now, if we look at our app right now, we see that right now we have a bunch of elements here. We have this element here. We have 2, 3, then we have 4 and 5. We have like 5 elements that are behaving from top to bottom, right? And we want to align them. So basically, what I would do here is that to get this kind of feature where when you are scrolling, you can see different elements here or different information on your screen, you use what you call a page view. Now, a page view is, no surprise, a parent widget, right? So let's check for it here. So a page view is, no surprise, a parent widget, right? So we're going to work with that first. Now, one thing you need to understand here is that every single widget you see on your page in Flutterflow's guide, right, in their documentation, you can actually search for it and you can study on it. You can go to the search page and check for the name, and then you can see more information about it, right? So the page view is also there. So that's like a helpful tip for you. But for now, I'm just going to show you how I built it myself. So just you can follow along. So I'm going to put 2 other columns inside of the page. This is just my own process. All right. So cancel. I'll put them inside of this the main parent column. So now anytime you put another widget inside of a widget, you go to the widget tree and you can see their structure, right? So this one is now, I'll name it main. So this widget now, this column has become the parent of these 2 columns here. Okay. Now, if you look at our page here, we see that all these elements here, you are not meant to scroll on the page. You're just meant to be static there. So to build that kind of feature or function, I'm going to click on these 2 columns here and click on expansion. It's going to make it expand like this, as you can see, expansion, right? Then I'm going to click on this main column here, and I'll click on this cross-axis alignment. So as you can see, when you click on any widget, on the right side, you can edit the components of the widget, right? You can tell those widgets how to control the children widgets, right? So I'm telling you to expand. So these 2 areas is where, this entire area is where you can control how the widgets will behave. So as you can see, they have spread out. All right. Now I'm going to tell this particular element up here to take up a space of maybe 8. Okay. And then this section here is going to take up a space of 2, basically. So this, as you can see, I'm sure you can see some structure already coming up. Now the next thing I'm going to do here is that I'm going to put the page view inside of it, inside of this first section here, right? Now you can see that button already showing. Now the next thing I'm going to do here is that I am going to make the button, so you can see you can use these sliders to control the button. So this is top and bottom, right? Vertical, that's from top to bottom. Then this section here, you can control how it should be to the middle. Okay, So I think it should be on a 0. I can just type on 0 here and to come to the middle. So next thing is that we come to Figma. You can click on these buttons here and you can see the button is 10. Okay. So the dot width, the dot width should be 10. Okay. Expansion factor, I think it should be a 0. All right. Now, I think this is good. So you can do any other thing you want to do. I'm just trying to rush through this design here. So let's see if I'm getting it right. So far so good. Now the next thing is that I'll delete this section here. Okay. Now we have two buttons that are meant to be here. Okay. Now for me, what I will normally do is that I like putting rows, right? And rows are parent widgets that can help you format or control widgets from left to right, how they behave from left to right. But sometimes I like using it to align individual widgets. Now you just see how I'm going to do it basically. So I'll click on the row, right? And I'll tell the row to the main axis alignment to bring everything to the middle. Now this main axis alignment is basically the main function of that property, right? So for rows is left to right, as you can see. For columns is, if you click on a column, sorry, if I click on a column, it's from top to bottom, main axis, right? So click on this row. I'm going to put a button inside of it. Okay, right? I put a button. Let me delete this. Now this button here. So what I'm now going to do, I'm going to click on. Now one thing you need to know about design is that spacing is very, very important, right? So if I click on option, you can see that the spacing. So option or alt. If you're on Mac, option is the key to click on. If you are on Windows, is alt. If you click on option on alt, you see that you can see the measurement of spacing, and spacing is very important in any app you build. So you can see the measurement of spacing here is 24 from left to right, right? So I'll click on 24. So I'll do is this row here, I'm going to go to padding. Padding is how you can apply spacing to your designs. Click 24 here, click 24 here, and bam. Now I can click on this button here and I can go to theme style, which is what we said before. Go to primary button and so okay, I'm having an issue with that. So what I'll do is let me go back to that theme style widget. Just follow me. Then I'm going to edit it again. You know, it's not meant to be infinite. I'm having an issue with that. So we just say I'm trying to think, right? I'm not seeing an option to expand it. So what I'm just going to do, I'll show you something. I'll explain shortly, but I'll just click on expansion instead. So I don't know. I was not able to use that one. I don't know. I'm not seeing that option to create expansion or something there, which is an issue. Maybe Flutterflow will fix it later. Click on 62. We have a button. So I remember that this font size was 14, and then this one was bold. Okay. All right. Now, next thing I'm going to do now is that I'm just going to click on. So expansion is to expand the widget, right? Click on this row. Click duplicate. Now, what I will do next is that I always like, if I'm going to, what I'm going to do now is that for this particular button, if you notice this design here, that this skip doesn't have any color, right? So I'll just give you a tip. Number one, I'm just going to clear the color, make it invisible. All right. Number one. The next thing I'm going to do here is that when you make something invisible like that, you see that some shadow is showing. Always go to look for elevation, right? On that way and click on 0. As you can see, it has disappeared. Next thing I'm going to do here is that the text color is, this is the color. I can copy the color here. Then it's 16 and regular, right? So color, click this, then paste the color here. All right. Then sorry, not the color of the color of the text. Sorry. Go over here. This is the text color. Let me just paste it here. And we'll say 16. Okay. And then regular. So regular will just be normal. Okay. Good. Then I'll click on skip. Let's write skip. Great. So it's coming out nicely. Now, one thing you need to know is that I think the font is different. The font is called Sen, and that font I think is a Google font, if I remember. It's a Google font actually. So you can actually, I think, let me see. If you click on font family, you can check for Sen, or you can set it in your app design, right? You can set it in the design system. look for typography and set it there. So you can see it's coming out nicely. So what I'll just do is I'll go to that typography here and set our primary font family to sen. Okay, sen, right? And then secondary font family, I'll set it to sen too. Okay. In the design, sen is the font that was used. So now that we're done with that, the next thing we're going to do here is that we will need to now create this design here. So what I'll do is that I'm going to add a column to this section here. Okay, and that column now, I'm going to make that column bring everything to the middle. All right, now that's the main axis alignment right now. So the next thing I'm going to do here is that I'm going to add two rows. All right, okay, two rows. Okay, now this row is going to come from the middle also, and this other row is going to come from the middle also. So this section here, if you see, look at this design, I'm not going to use any picture for this particular design. I'm just going to use exactly what they did. For me, I had to choose a particular picture to put there, just from my own app, as you can see on screen. But for this design here, I'm just going to click on a container, drag the container to the screen. All right, and then let's click on this size. It's 240. That's the width. Height is 292. So just do that same thing here. So this container here, the width is going to be 240, height to be 292. Okay, right? Then you notice that these sections are not sharp, they are curved. So that's what you call border radius. Over here you can see this is the corner radius. It's 12. So you can click on this container, you can click on border radius here and say 12. So you can study about all these widgets in the Flutterflow guide, right? So just to make sure that it looks the same, I'm just going to click here and copy the color from here. Okay, paste the color over here, and yeah, done. Now next thing I'm going to do is that this row is what will hold our text. So I'm going to click here and measure. So it's 63, that's the distance. So I'm going to say padding should be 63. Okay, all right, good. Now what I'll do is I'm going to add a text inside here. Okay, now that text, we're going to measure it here. So we have the size 24 and extra bold. All right, so we're going to click on this text and make sure the size is 24, and then extra bold. All right, so I'll come over here and I'll just copy this text here, right? And then I'll come over here and I'll paste the text over here. All right, great. Now the next thing is we will duplicate this section here, Command D or Control D, depending on your laptop or system. Right, then we'll click here. Let's measure. So options or alt, you can measure 18. All right, so we change this padding to 18. Now this text here, we are going to have to measure. So you see that the text, let me see. So let's see. So the text here is 16, right, and regular. Okay, so we are going to go for a font size of 16. All right, and then regular will be normal. All right, then we can paste what we copied. Okay, I don't know what that is. So let's paste what we just copied from here. I don't know what just happened. So come over here and then let's paste the right thing. Let me delete all of that nonsense. Then for the size of the text, I'm going to make the alignment come to the middle. Then voila, we're done. All right, so now that we're done with this particular section, we can just copy the same section across other areas too. It's very simple. So all we just need to do is that for the other the page view always comes with default of 2 other pages. So I'm just going to delete the other pictures that there. You can make as many page views as you want. You can look at the manual for more information, but for now I'm just going to copy this column that I designed here, and then I'll go to the other page views, this one here, and I'm just going to paste the same thing. So guys, right now you can see you can actually scroll. Sorry, it's not going to be working that well here. Let me just do a preview and you should see how the scrolling animation would look. Okay. In your app, you can scroll. Okay. Now, what we want is that I think when you click on this button, you see next, next, next. Then last one, the last page goes to get started, right? As we saw. Now, I noticed that. Let me tell you one way in which you can actually create that feature. Okay. Now, that feature, the way you can create it is that, let me click on this. Now, you can study for you to learn more about this. Right now, this is not a class, an in-depth class like that. I'm just telling you how I did it, right? But what you need to study is something called conditional logic. Okay, it's on Flutterflow's documentation. Now I also have it in my course. I teach about this in depth, like really in depth for a no code developer. But you need to understand conditional logic, and what you need to understand is this feature here called if then else. Now, if then else is a conditional logic that says that if this is true or false, things like that, then it gives a particular value for your app to work with, maybe text or something, right? That's basically the function here, and it's more complicated than that, but that's a simple way to explain it, right? So basically, what we want here is that we want a value. The value we want is that if we are on the first page of this section or on the first three pages, it's showing next. If we're on the last page, which is the last final page, it should show get started. Now, the way we could normally theoretically do this with Flutterflow is that when you come to the text section, which is showing button here, what you do is that you click on anywhere you see these options here, these orange logos, or sorry, icons. It means that you can manipulate that value from a dynamic property. What does that mean? It means that that value can be manipulated based on, for example, now, just like we want to manipulate the text here, we want to be that whenever, and it can be different for different users' phones. If a user is on number 2, they are on next. If the user is number 3, is next. If user is number 1, is next. But if they are number 4, that means it can change based on, a dynamic. It's based on, it can change. It can be dynamic. Do you understand? If we just write next alone, it means that that's a static value. It can never change. But we want it to be that it can change based on different true or false statements, right? The true or false statement is it true that we're on the fourth page? If it is true, go to get started. So what we need to do here is that to make it work, we can click on, you can see text, we can manipulate text here, the button text. You can click there and you see you open your variables tree, or I call it like your variables map. There's a lot of things you can do here. And like I said, I have more training on this. Flutterflow has a lot of training on this in case you don't understand what's happening. But the simple one we need is called widget state. And widget state many times is to look at the particular widget on our page. What is happening with them right now? Is there any change to that widget? We can manipulate things on our page based on that function. Right now, the widget we're looking for is the page view. And on widgets, we have page view current index. And this index means the number of page, which is it on number 1, or number 2, number 3, or number 4. Now, remember that when it comes to counting in coding, right, we start counting most times from 0, not number 1. So basically, if we have 3 pages here, what we have here is 0, 1, and then 2. So it's not 1, 2, 3. You understand? So that's not the way you are going to do it here. So what we do here, we won't just click on page view index. We need to go to, you can see that you can see that conditional value if then else. We click on it, right? So you can see that we have spaces here. So if this is true, then write this value, or else write this value. So it's very simple. So theoretically, what we can do here is that we can say something like single condition, right? So if, what is the truth? So if widget states page view current index, all right, so confirm. If it is equal to, we can now say something like specific. So you can say specific value of a variable, that means a dynamic value. If it is equal to, let's say 2 is the last page. If it's equal to 2, confirm. Then what we'll say is, we'll say get started. If it's equal to 1, we'll say, sorry, if it's else means any other thing. That means if it's not equal to 2, that means it's equal to something else, maybe 1, 2, or the other ones, right? So we just say, then we just say next. Okay. Now this would work, but the issue is that when I tested out this option, it wasn't loading in real time. It wasn't working the way I wanted it to be. It wasn't working as you scroll. You can test it out, this function. You can easily just click on this feature here and say download app, you can test out what I just did now. You see that it's not going to work the way you want it to work. It's not going to be real time. So the way I fixed it was that, let me just show you the way I did it. Now, some this and that advanced thing you will learn is called state management, and is in Flutterflow you can create, sorry, in Flutterflow you can create what you call local state, and it's a way to store information in for a temporary time in the device memory. It can also be more than, it can be long lasting, so it must not be temporary, but it's a way to store information for a short period of time. And it can allow you to perform different actions, and I use it a lot. You're going to see a lot when you learn about it, so you can study about it in the Flutterflow guide like normal, you understand, or you can also get classes or check online for more information. But right now what we want to store in for a temporary time, so we have three different type of local state. You have components, you have page state, you have app states. Now, for depending on the kind of apps of states you want to work with, the only difference is that different parts of your app might not have access to that information. If you are working with app state, which is you save here, app state, you can save information that all your entire app can have access to. If you are working with page state, which I'm building now, you just just click out, or click on, you scroll up, click on the page itself in the widget tree, and then you can see different options you can work with on the page. Now, the last one is called state management, is the where you can create local page states. That means only this particular page can have access to that information. So what I want to save here is that you might say something like something text, button text. This is where I did my own button text. Okay, so I'm going to remove this B from here. All right, button text is going to be a string. Okay, the default value, just put a dash there, nothing necessary, or you can just put maybe next here. Confirm. Now, the next thing I did was that on page load, let's click on actions. You can create an action on page load when, without anybody having access to it. Like I said, if you're a beginner, you don't understand some things, you can ask questions too, please. Then you can add an action. You can create a new action in Flutterflow. You can say something like periodic action. So periodic action is an action that happens in the background, right, at certain intervals. So what we can do here is that, every 1 second, you can check for something. Every 1 second, you can make it higher. But for me, I think I made it every 1 second, right? I made it every 1 second. So you can click on add action, or not even add action. Basically, I think delete. What I'll do now is that I'm going to go to that option I wrote here, okay, and I'm going to click on this condition I just wrote, copy variable. So I'm going to go to my to the tree, okay, so to my action tree, and let me add that condition. Okay, so you can add conditional actions, so actions that only happen if something is true or false. Okay, sorry. Paste, confirm. So if the page view is equal to 2, all right, what will happen is that we can now update that local page of that. So you will see what I'm talking about right now. So we can update page state. All right, now update page state, what does that mean? That page state that we just created, button text, we can update it that it will show if it is equal to 2. If it is true, set value to say get started. Okay, but if it is copy action, if it is false, right, that means it's not equal to 2, that means it's equal to something else. You can say something like next. All right, like I said, you can always ask questions. You can message me down below in case you need more help or understanding. But this is what I did, and I was able to have that real-time function. You can test it out, it works. Next thing I'll need to do is I'll just click on this button section here, and I'm going to, like delete all of these things here, and I can say that this text here, it should come from the page state button text. Awesome. Now, so anytime that button text is manipulated, it will show here in real time. So this skip value here, we have to make sure that it doesn't show. And Flutterflow has, for every widget, you have something called conditional visibility, or you can make a widget disappear based on true or false statements, right? So if I click on conditional visibility right now and I click on this onset section, I can set the conditional visibility. And how does it work? So I can say that single condition, all right. Now I can say something like if the page state button text, all right, is equal to next specific value is equal to next. You can say you can manipulate things in your app. So if it's equal to next, that's when it should show. Only when it's equal to next, that's when it should show. So you see if it's not equal to next, it won't show. Voila, we're done. So the next page we're going to build is going to be the login or sign up page. So because this particular design is different, is different, right? Something might not be used to. So let me show how I actually did it myself, right? So what I'm going to do here is that I'm just going to create a new, and I'm only going to do one because when you do that one, you can just copy for the other pages too and just replicate. So I'm going to click on add a new page. Okay, that page is going to be login. Let me delete this. So now the way I built it out was that I deleted I made the page blank. I started with what you call a stack widget, and a stack widget is a parent widget that can allow you to stack two elements on top of each other, and you can study more about it on the Flutterflow documentation, right? But first thing I did was I dragged a container, and I dragged it to the very top. Okay, I think it's even better to do this. We'll drag a column inside, and that column will make it spread out inside of that stack. Then I'm going to drag a container, all right? And that container, we're going to drag it down to, so I'll click on height. So let me remove this thing in case it's distracting you. I'll click on percentage and I'll make the height 50%. That's where I did it, all right? Now the next thing I did was that if you check this design here, even though it looks a bit weird if you don't know how to do this kind of design, what you do is that I think the page had a color, if I'm right, had a color. So this is the color here. I clicked on the page itself. I got the color. This is the color here. I can copy the color. I can go to Flutterflow and I can paste the color in the fill color section here. So I can paste the color over here. Use color. Bam. Done. Now the next thing I want to do here is that I will want to add another container, right? That container will come from, from maybe from this section here or something, right? But basically that container is going to be inside of this. Let me see. I'm coming. Let me just delete. Let me use this column first. I'll click on this column. I'll add a container there. All right. But I should still be able to drag it. Okay, it's not working. So what I'll do here, let me use from the stack. Don't mind me. Sorry. So from the stack container, drag this container down. All right. So you see, because I'm using the stack, I can drag widgets anywhere I want to, right? Can drag it down. Okay. So you can use this horizontal placement to, this one is to left and right. This one, I want the vertical one, sorry, from top to bottom. Good. Gotten into the down, to this down section now. So the next thing I want to do here is that I'm going to make the width 100%, right? You can do it however you want. Then the height, let's make the height, let's see. Let's make it like 70% of the page. Okay, so make it like 70% of the page. 70% of the page. I think this should be all right. Okay. We might maybe 75. Okay, so this is okay. Now this container here, if you notice there's a curve. So click on this container here. You see that there's a curve. The curve, I can't even see the curve. I think I just formed my own. I think I made you go to border radius. I think I made the curve like maybe 18 or something. I think that's even too small, maybe 25. Sorry. I think this is better. All right. Now this container here, I can add you see, because it's a parent widget, any widget that you see this add sign, this plus sign, it means it's a parent widget. It can accept some widgets inside that. Now there are different type of parent widgets. Some of them can accept only one, some can accept more than one. plenty. So there are different types. You just need to make assessments or you do your own study, right? For now, for this column, for this container here, you can accept only one. So I can add a column here because I see that all the elements that are inside here are from top to bottom, login, and then this one here. Okay. So all I need to do here is that I'll click on this login and I'll measure from here to here is 118. Okay. So I'll click here and I'm going to add two or one row first. Okay. And I'm going to click from here and I think it's 118. All right. Good. Then I'll click on the row and make it come from the middle. Then I'm going to add a text inside of it. Then I'll click here and the text is 30 bold. All right. So I'll click on 30. Font size will be 30. And then the font weight is going to be bold. All right. Next thing I'm going to do here is that the color is white. So I'm just going to copy the color code. All right. And I'm going to paste it in the text color section. Okay, so now that we're done with that, we can just write login here. Sorry, login. All right. Now I can also duplicate and add another text, but for now I'm not going to add it because from here you can easily know what to do. I want you to do it yourself too. You can tap on plus, add another row or something, and do whatever you need to do there. So we'll focus on this other container here. So next thing I'm going to do here is that we need some sections like this, right? So this is going to be a column, obviously, because we can see things from top to bottom, right? So just to design it quickly, I'm going to add a column here. All right. Then that column, we're going to add some things inside. Okay. So first, I'm going to add a row, right? Now the reason why I'm adding rows is that I can see that I want to align things like this. There's a way I want to align it. So it depends on your own design. You might not want to put a row. You can just put maybe text and then the input text separately. Now this widget for allowing a user to type something inside is called the text input, and I'll show you shortly. But first, let's look at the space. So I'll click on Option or Alt. You see that the space is 24. So what I will do here is that this entire column here, I'm going to put a padding of 24. All right. Now next thing I'm going to do here is that I am going to measure the distance from here to here, which is 24 also. Okay. So I'm going to put on the column a padding of 24, then bottom padding of 24 too. Okay. Now this column here, we see that elements inside is still from top to bottom, so we still need a column inside. So I'm going to add a column inside of it. All right. Add a column. Now that column is going to have all the elements that we need, right? Or wait, what I might do instead is that now one cool thing about Flutterflow is that you can right click or double click on any element and then you can change it sometimes, not all of them, but you can change it. I can want to change this one to a column first, and I'll now have two rows inside or whatever I need. Okay, so I'm just going to add maybe two rows. All right, this is just the way I like doing my own. You can do your own however you like. I like structuring it this way. So once I do that, I can put a text inside this one. All right, then I can put a text input. So if you scroll down to what you call form elements, which are other kind of elements I didn't talk about, but they are still like base elements. So they still, but the only thing about them is that you can take in information with them, right? So what I will just do here is that this form element here, this text field, I'm going to remove the padding from the left and the right side. All right. Now the next thing here is that you notice that there's a distance from this text input here to the text up here, which is 8 pixels, right? So I'm going to click on this row here, and the distance I'm going to put up here is going to be 8. All right. Now we can click on this text here and click here and then see the measurements is 13 and regular. All right. So I just click here and it's 13 and regular, which is normal already. I think the color is just different, so we just copy the color code of that text and we'll come over to Flutterflow and then we will paste the color. All right, fair enough. So you can write email here. All right, now for this text field to make it exactly what we saw in that design. What I'm going to do first is that I'm going to remove this underline I'm seeing here. All right, I'm going to remove it. I'm going to say none. I don't want any kind of property around it. Then I'm going to remove this auto focus. I don't really like that auto focus. And you can search, you can hover over this thing to see what the auto focus is all about, or you can play around with your design and look at what it does or how it changes your app. Right now, the thing I'm going to do right now is, let's see. I'm going to click on field. All right, and I'll choose a field color. So field means that the color of the text input will be the entire color will be filled up with a color, right? So I'll copy this color from here. All right, and I'm going to paste it into this field color section. Okay, so I'll paste it here. Use color. Boom. So I don't know. I don't think this is the right color though, because it doesn't look like it. I think this is the right color here. Sorry. Woo! Made a mistake. um Command C or Control C, come over to the field color section, and I will paste that color here. Use color. Done. Now you can use border radius to now achieve maybe like like it curves around the edges like we've been doing so far. So I think border radius is around here. It should be around here. We should have border radius. So I don't think text input has border radius though. I think the way I fixed it was that I wrapped. So if you double tap on this thing, you can see an option here. You can wrap a widget with maybe something like a so what I'll do here is that I think you can wrap a widget with a container, right? So a container will help me give styling to it. I use containers a lot for a lot of different kind of styling options, right? So I'll wrap it in the container, and then what I'll do is that I can now put a border radius. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the container and clip content. Clip content is a way to make any element inside of a container bend to the width of the container. Like however the container shape it is, that element inside will follow that container shape. It's a way to deal with some stubborn elements, right? So once I do that now, what I can do is that this border radius, I can maybe put something like maybe 8, just playing around, and you can see there's some kind of curve already. You can still customize it however you like, right? Now you can change the label text and other things like that as much as you want, but for now I'm just going to duplicate, and you can duplicate and get whatever kind of design you want, or right? So maybe for now, you can in your own space, you can follow the entire spacing requirement. You can click here, and then use Alt or Option to measure the space right in your own time. Then you can also use a row to put two text here and change the color, and then put your button here, and then put your text here, and things like that, right? But now we'll come into something that's very, very interesting in Flutterflow, and that's the ability to be able to add, your own elements, custom maybe picture elements or custom assets, right? Per se. So what I'll do to show you an example of how that works, I'm going to export from Figma. That's why I like Figma a lot. So you can still use different kind of designs. I'm going to export from Figma this Facebook logo design. So to do that, I will click on export here, click on preview, and right now I can see that this Facebook logo thing is here, right? So I'm not seeing right now in this preview, I'm not seeing this text or like I want. So I'm going to go to this the left side, and I'll click on group so I can have everything I need. So you can see everything is here. Click on export, and I've exported the design here. Okay. So what I'll now do is simple. I'm just going to come to Flutterflow. This is the asset section, media assets, and I can click on upload media, and I can upload what I just downloaded. Yes, I'll go to downloads, and I can upload what I just downloaded here, which is this section here. Open. So once it's loading, when it's done now, you check it out. So what the other thing I want to upload is this design that we have here. You notice that there's a background design here, and that's something I want to work with for my own app. So to get it into my app, right? Let's see. Let's try and highlight it. BG assets. So let's see it here. So this is the design here. So we'll export it to. Okay. So now that I've exported it, what I'm going to do is that now this icon here means that the asset has not been used in your project. So it's when you use it, it's not going to show. So I'm just going to click upload to, and I'll upload that asset, right? And once I upload it, it's going to be uploaded here. But good. Now, one thing you need to notice that all your assets should have a unique name. If not, it's not going to work. All of them should have a unique name. It's very, very important. Please, I didn't know that when I first started. Okay, so now the cool thing about assets here is that once you are done with them, you can do this. So I can go to my widget tree, and I always use containers to render or show assets in my app. I can click on container, and I can go to background image, all right, and I can go to assets, right, and then I can choose the asset I also uploaded, which is this one here. As you can see, design has come out. All right, next thing I can also do is that, I can also add something like maybe like a row. If I wanted to add or create the same design that we have here, you understand? If I wanted to create that same design I have here, I will put a row, then I can put like maybe a container inside. I'm just trying to show you how you can do design yourself. All right, put a container inside. I will click on this row here, and I will bring everything to the middle, all right? And then I'll click on this container, and then I can make it a circle. You understand? Then I can also go back to this design here, click on this circle, and then the size of the circle is 62. All right, so I'll go here to diameter, and I'll click on 62 as the sizing. All right, then maybe for this example I'm showing you, I'll just put 23 here. All right, click on this container, and I will go to background image, right, and I will go to assets, or okay, then I will click on this asset I just uploaded here. Now you can change how the asset should fit the image in case it doesn't fit the way you expect it to fit. You can always play around with all these options here. All right, but let's just see something. It's also good to clear the color most times. Always clear the color, but I didn't clear the color for this one because it was not necessary. It was part of the design. All right, good. So this is an example of how you can do that this design. So on your own, you can play around with it and get the same design. All right. Now the next page I would like to explore with you. Let me zoom. I think here. So the next page I would like to explore with you is going to be the location access page. All right. Now, for the location access, let's see. I'm coming. This is the page here. Now, it's the same thing as what we designed. Sorry, keep on kicking my camera. Now, location access is the same thing as what we designed here. So I'm just going to copy what we designed here, right? But I want to show you one particular thing on what I did in my own design, right? So what I'll do here is that I'm just going to create a new page called location access, right? Location access. Sorry. All right. Great. So what I'm going to do here is that I used, and this is a trick you can use in your apps from time to time. You can use a page view in some of your pages, right? And I won't talk too much about it. Maybe you can ask question in your comment section, but it's a trick you can use. Now, for this location access page, we have two sections here. First, when you click on access location, you go to a second page where you okay. Oh, it's not the same. It's not even here. I think I invented that page myself. So if you check the screen right now, you see how mine works. When you click on it, you now see your location is now show. The location will show, and then your current location that was picked will now show, right? And the reason why I did it like that was that there's one particular widget you can use to access people's location in Flutterflow. It's called a place picker, right? So I would suggest that you go to Flutterflow's guide and type place picker. Place picker. All right. Great. So if you click on Play Speaker widget, you'll see all the information about it. And basically, if you click on it, you can allow it to access and allow somebody to click and type their location. And, using Google functionality, you can access their location, the name of the location, everything about the location, right? So it's really, really cool. And for an app like this, where we want to track people's, where they are and things like that, you might want to use it. All right. So before I work with that, let me just copy all these elements first. I'll Control C or Command C, go over to the login section. I'm going to, sorry, location access section. I'm going to remove this section here and paste this. All right. So I'm going to delete some of these, options. Then in this page view, I'll remove I'll say allow swipe scrolling will be no. That's the way I did my own, right? And there's a reason for that. Just trust me, you'll see shortly. Then I'll delete that. And then for this page view, I'm going to click show indicator. All right. Probably make this one to be a circle or something just so you can understand what's happening. And then I will add a row basically and add like a so let me make everything come to the middle. All right, and then I'm going to add a place speaker inside. Sorry, I think it's here. Place speaker should be here or something. Place speaker. All right, so this is an example. It comes like this automatically. You can control the name of it and things like that, right? But the issue with place speaker is that once you click on select location and you add a location to it, it does not do any other thing. Because right now, you can test it out yourself and see what I'm talking about. Right now, I want it to be that when they click on access location and they access the location, they go to the next page, which is the home page, but it doesn't do anything. It just collects the information. It doesn't do any other thing. And that's an issue. And if you click on the button right now and you go to action, you can't add any action. Everything is blank. So it's only there to just collect information about the location. So what I now did was that I did the same thing as that other page. I went to local state. I said something like, okay, lat lang, right? And if you study more information about this place picker, you know that lat lang is basically longitude, latitude. It's how you can get information about a particular location, right? The Google uses latitude and longitude to access precise coordinates of a location, right? So I'll use lat lang, and then in the local page that I can choose lat lang as my option for the information I want to work with, right? And I'll see confirm, right? So basically what I did was that now you have to make sure that everything in your app is configured properly with Google and everything. You have to set everything up. Flutterflow will give you all the instructions here, but basically once you set everything up, it will start working, right? So what I did basically was that once you add this specific to your page, right? What I did was that I set up a periodic action. All right. Now, one thing, let me just give you a simple Flutterflow tip, right? Many things with Flutterflow are client side. Now, what does client side mean? It means that, for example, only when a user clicks on a button or something will an action happen. And then as you start building, you notice that there's some actions you want to happen in your app. Like you don't want the user to have to click a button. You want it to happen automatically, and that's just your own experience as you start growing. And that's why sometimes you might go to the top of the page and you add an action there so that things can happen without the user having to click a button and do certain things, right? To make your app much more easier and to work with as a user, right? Now, as you grow, there are things that you might learn about like cloud functions. That's something more advanced. We'll talk about later. But yeah, so this is just why we're doing this. So if I go to add action here, I'll delete this one here, right? I mistakenly initialized. I'm going to now add a periodic action. Add action. I'm going to add a periodic action. Oh, I keep on doing that. Okay, don't mind me. So periodic action. All right. Every 1 second. What we'll do is that add a conditional action. All right. And then I will say condition is going to be single condition. So a single condition is basically when you're checking two different values together, right? True or false, right? It comes true or false. If you need more information, I have a class on this. I have courses. You can message me down below, right? Okay, so what we're going to search is the page state, lat lang, and we're going to search for whether it is set. So if it is set, okay, what will happen here is that if it is set, now what I did in my own app was that I didn't have 3 pages, I only had two, so I'll delete the third one. Let me move myself from the screen. So delete. So the second one, so this is what I'm telling you about me having to think about some designs by myself. All right, so I'm going to delete all of this. So in my own design, if you saw it on the screen, I had a text that showed that part, the location where they were. So I'm just going to duplicate right now. This text I can make it 20. All right, this circle I can make it a circle too. So this container, what I did was I added a Google Maps widget, right? Maps, and type maps. You can drag it to your page. All right, I don't know why it's not okay. Sorry, I can't do that. Aha. Yeah, so you see Google Maps here. Now you see that Google Maps is still, even though it's the same size as the container, it's still having some sharp edges. And that's why I told you about that clip content. If I go to clip content now, it will force the Google Map widget to stay within the bounds, as you can see. That's what I did. Then I clicked on Google Map and I said that the lat lang information should come from that place picker value. So if you see page state, or you can say that page state lat lang value. Okay, so so we're going to get information about where the user is from the lat lang that they picked. So I will show you how we're going to do that. Then this text here, I can also click on the text also. All right, and I can say that, oh, the text should come from, so let go to widget state, come from, place picker value. All right, it should come from the address. Okay, very simple. So sorry, you might have to put a default view field, but I'll just do a dash there. Done. So address is set. So this section here will just be like a button, maybe, right? So the button will just be something like, you can make it whatever size you want, right? For me, I'll just put something like maybe, 300 pixels. All right. So something like confirm address. Okay. Now, what will happen here is that now so let me just show you what's going to happen here. Now, in this other page here, they can select a location. We can't do any other thing with this button here. So when they select location, something will pop up here. They can add their location. So what's going to happen here is that I'm thinking, I'm trying to remember. Sorry. So what I did was that in the this section here. So when lat lang is set, what will happen here is that if it is true that it has been set, all right, we'll add an action. Okay, that action will be to update. All right, it will be to update. Sorry, page state. All right, so we're going to update page state because the widget they're going to use to set their location will be that place picker, right? So we'll now update the lat lang of that, the local state that we set, and we'll update it with the page state lat lang. So we'll update it with the widget state. See me, don't mind me. We'll update it with the widget state place picker value, place fields, lat lang. You see, it's only the option that's showing because Flutterflow is intuitive enough to do that. All right. So the next thing we'll now do is that we'll now say, okay, if it's also true, after we've updated it, what they selected, right? We'll add an action where they would now navigate. So basically, let me show something. Page view, control page view. All right. So page view. Okay. So it will automatically go to the next view. Now we've disabled swipe scrolling, so they can't swipe to the next page. It's only when they have set this thing to now go to that page automatically, to automatically swipe there, and then they can now do any other action. So they can now click on, this button here and says confirm address, and then they can take them to the home page. Now there's some other actions I added here. I won't talk too much about them here. Like I said, if you're a student of mine, you can have full access to the food delivery templates that I built, and you can use it to learn, study that entire template I built. You can clone it, copy it, use it in your own app, do whatever you need to do if you're a student. So that's it. So you can message me down below if you want access to the template. All right. Great. So that's what I did. Now I'm going to, I can see that there are some errors here, and it's because I've not configured Google Maps. Remember, I told you that you need to go and study the documentation from Flutterflow so you can know more information about that. So I'm going to delete Google Maps from this project here. And then the place picker, because I've not configured Google Maps, but that's how I built that design. Now the next page I need to show you guys that I built is the home page, and there's a few elements there that I want to show you guys. So let's work on the homepage a bit. So if you see this homepage right now, come over here. Now in this homepage here, we have a couple of things that we have on our page, and a lot of them were from, for example, this section here was from like an exported file. I use it to now render on a container like I've shown you before. So you can easily build some of these things, right? Now, let me just show you how I did it. So basically, for me, what I'm going to do right now is that I'm going to access my other project and I'll show you some things. So I don't take too much time. We're already at almost like an hour already in this simple tutorial. Let me just show you how I did it on the other section here. All right. So I'm going to come over to this and I think home page. All right. So as you can see, this is I even discarded a lot of those options. I removed the cart because I told you I had to make a lot of options on my own. I removed the cart because I checked some food delivery apps, and based on the way I built it that there is no central cart. It is every single restaurant that has a cart embedded. And I checked some food delivery apps, and that's the way it was. So you can only select products from cart to cart, right? And there's a reason for that. There's a huge reason for that, which I might explain later in like in the at the end of the video, right? But I removed the cart, I removed this section here. It didn't make sense. There was no area that this section was directing us to. I think this section should only be there if we're having like maybe like an option that will now slide into. There was nothing like that. So it didn't make sense to me. So I just removed it from my own design. All right. The only thing I needed was this hail, allow, good afternoon, and then this search section and stuff like that. All right. So let's work with that. Now, this section here, if you look at my widget tree, basically this is a row. All right. And I put all of them are inside of a container, or sorry, of a column that has like a padding of 50 and the rest. All right. Then we have a row inside, and that row has a column, and that column has two different texts. Now, this particular text, for me to have, text here and then an icon here, I put it inside of a row too. So as you can see how we're developing the app, right? So that's how I built everything there. All right. So now this section here, it's a rich, what you call a rich text, and a rich text widget is a widget from Flutterflow that allows you to achieve two different designs for text in the same text. If you look at my rich text here, you see that if I click on this first element here, you see that it is 16 normal. Then the second element here is so let's say is 16 and bold. So you see two different designs for that text to achieve what we saw there. So rich text widget, how do you access it? You just click here and then you go to rich text. That's the way you do it, right? Now, all categories to the same thing. I think I'm just showing you. I don't want to have to show you. I've already shown you how I've done some of these things. You can easily do just drag a row and you can put a text there and everything and play around with it. Okay. The next thing is these sections here. These sections, right? Because I chose this particular one as what I'm building. But first, I had to work with a text, this search section, right? So how did I build out this search section? Now it's same thing, same principle as this login page. Like as you can see, there's a lot of repeated things. That's why I'm not going to have to go back again. So I'm just going to go back here and I'll click on this section and copy it. All right. Then I'm going to go back to the home page and I'll just paste it here, Command V. And the cool thing about this, I think on this home page it's meant to be white. So I'm going to change the entire color to white. All right. So change it to white. Now, the column is, if you see there's a spacing is 24 everywhere. So not everywhere though. If you notice, this particular section doesn't have a space. If you look at the design, it doesn't have a spacing. It can extend out of the screen. So I only made the spacing for this top section here, right? That's why in my own design, if you see, I have something called top section. So like I said, if you're a student, you can have access to this my design and use it to build your own and for experience. But first section, and now put the padding there and stuff, right? So for me, for this particular design, just to fulfill our righteousness, I'm just going to go to something called save as templates, right? Save as template. So not even templates. Basically, I think is it templates? I think it's template. Yeah. Food app home, and this is a way for you to maybe copy a particular design from another app on Flutterflow and then paste it on another app. It's a really cool way to do all those things. So let me just delete what I was doing here. Let me delete all of this and delete this too. what I'm going to do is I'm going to click here, and I'm going to click on this section here. All right, click there. I'm waiting for it to load because I have a lot of templates. Okay, so all the templates have loaded. So let's search for our food. You have to name them properly. Food, you know, let's see. Yeah, so this is it here. I can just copy and paste everything I just did there, right? Sorry, it's not magic. I'm supposed to drag and drop it. Don't mind me. So yeah, so everything else did is now here. So you can see that's how it works. Now for this section here, what I did was that I have a container, all right. And inside that container, I styled it according to the design I saw here. Remember, you can see all the elements on the screen. And after styling it, I now put a row inside, and that row I now put an icon, here. That icon has some padding to give space. Then I now put like a text. So this section here, the reason why I didn't really do much, let me delete this action here because it's giving us an error. I didn't really do much because, let me tell you what I mean by didn't do much. Normally, for a place you're meant to search, you're meant to put like a text input here because, like we did in the login page, so they can type in whatever they're searching for. But in this design here, this is not where they type in what they're searching for. When they click on it, it takes them over to this search page here, right? So it's different. All right, so that's what I did. Now, I think the major thing I'm going to just focus on showing you how I designed it was, or is, this section here. I'll just design this section. For other things, you can easily just work with maybe the Figma design and what I've taught you already. But first, you can also even design this one too. It's very, very simple. It's just like a container. You put a border radius of 39 to make it curved. You now look at this. The width is 103 pixels. Height is 60 pixels, right? You put a row inside, and then you can now measure their distance inside. This all is 21 or so. Just work with that. So I'll just only design this one here. This one I'm going to design. So let's design it quickly. Now, the first thing we notice here is that from top to bottom, we have a section here, we have a text, then we have this section here, right? So what we'll do now is that to get that design, we need a column from top to arrange this from top to bottom, right? Next thing is that I'm going to use several rows inside to organize every other thing. That's where I like building my own, right? So first things first, we notice that this sections, they also have padding too. All right, 24, 24, and everything. So I'll click on this column. You can always name them. Remember, you can double click on it and name it main. You can call it whatever you want to call it, right? So you can recognize it. So what I'll do is that column there, I'm going to put a padding of 24, right? 24 and 24. So sorry, 24. All right. Now the row inside, I'm going to add that container. So this is just the way I like doing it. You can do it the same way too. I recommend you do the same way. I'll put an expansion inside. All right. And this expansion will only work if the container was in a row. If not, it's going to give you errors. All right. Now, once I do that, I can go to this section here and I can copy the color that was here or something. Or you can just put your own, maybe your own picture, an asset or something. Right. Then you can come here over here, click on fill color. You can paste the color that you have here. All right. Okay, and then you can now set the height. So the height here is 137. We don't need to set the width. So height is 137. Okay, then we have some, I think, a border radius. Border radius is going to be, it's not even showing here. I think you just put as 20 or something. Border radius will be 20 for the curves. All right. Then once we're done with that, I'm going to click on this row and I'm going to duplicate it. Control D or Command D, right? Then next thing is that we notice that there's a space from here to here. Remember, it says spacing is part of design. Click on Option or Alt. 8 is the spacing. Come over here. I'll delete this container here and then click on this row and put a spacing of 8. All right. Then I'll click on the row itself and then I'll add a text inside. All right. Now this text is size 20 and regular. I'm not going to copy and paste the same thing that is there. Just, you can do it yourself, but size 20 and then regular is normal. All right. Then I'm going to duplicate the same text, Command D or Control D, all right? And we have this section called burger, rings, wings, and so on and so forth. So which is 5, right? So the spacing is 5 no, instead of 8. Just copy the same spacing, all right? Then I think the size of the text is 14 regular, and then this is the color. So I'm just going to copy the color alone, 14 regular. So this is supposed to be 14, and regular is normal. So I'll click on text color and I'll paste the color inside of there, right? So yeah, that's it. Now that we're done with that, we have a final section which is still from left to right. So now, because in this our design here, you see from left to right we have elements there, so we need to use a row, obviously. Okay, so what we'll do here is that we'll just command D, right? And one thing you need to take note of is that all of these elements that I got them as, I exported them as designs. I exported them the same thing I showed you before. So you can export all of them and then do whatever you need to do there. All right. So that's same way I did that same design. But make sure that all of them have a different name. All right. So just put, so you can put all of them inside the individual rows. The way I'll do it is that I would, let me delete this. You just put, you can put all of them instead of a individual rows, because each of them have their own definition from left to right. So this one like that. So each of them can have, their own space set of the rows, right? And you can put padding inside of each row. All right. So sorry. So you can say item 1, item 2, item 3, whatever you want to do, right? So you can just use this same way to, recreate the same design that you have in the link below, right? Awesome. You can already see it's already coming out nicely. Now, the next page I want to talk about a bit is the full details page. Okay. Now, this let me delete everything that we have here. The full details page, I think I had to design it myself a bit. Right. I didn't focus on what I saw in this design here. Took this design here. I chose this design. Now, the way I was able to fix up this design was, simple. Right. First, I removed everything that was here. I started with the page itself is a widget, and it's also a parent widget. You can only add one element inside. I started with a stack, right? Inside that stack, I put a column inside, right? And then I also put, a row. All right. Then at that column, I spread it out with cross axis alignment. Then that row, well, what you can easily do is that you can just click. So you can see how you can break things down in your head and make a design out of it. So I can click on this section here, click on options or alt, and it's 50 from the top. So just put a padding of 50, all right. And then we can make so you can click on on this row and you can make it spread out, space between. That way you can put two elements inside and do whatever design you want. So what I'll do here just for this case is I'm just going to put two containers, right? Now that container is, I'm going to make it a circle, all right? And I'm going to make it obvious, like an obvious color. Basically, I'll just make it like that orange so you can see what is going on. Now, if you come to this design here, you see that you can use what you call an icon to render these images. So let me click on this section here. It's 45. That's the size of this thing. So 45. Number one. Number two, you know, let me see. 24. That's the space from left to right. So I'll click on this row, put a padding of 24, 24. Okay. Then I'll just duplicate. So you can see space between what it does. It gives them space between, obviously, right? So that is really, really cool. Next thing I'm going to do or focus on is that they both have icons inside. So to get that same feature or design, what you can do is that you can click on the containers. Number one, I like doing it that I'll put a column first, or you can just easily just click on an icon, choose an icon like that straight up, no wahala. But I like choosing a column first so I can organize the icon inside of it, right? So I can click on the column and say come down to the middle so I can control the icon. That's what, it just me, that's how I like doing my own. So I can go to icon now, and then I can choose, you can choose whatever kind of shape of the icon you want. So you click on the icon, all right, you come over to this section and then you can choose the icon that you want or you need. All right, good. So next thing that you need to focus on here is that this there's a column, this column in the background, first thing I did was that I added a container inside of it. So you can see the container is in the background. Now this container, if you click here, you see that there's a height which is 407, obviously. All right. So I think I did a lot of customization for my own. My own was different from their design, right? But this is how you can follow their own design. So we have their height down. um I'll copy their color just for now. You can choose your own picture there. All right. Put your own color here. Okay, done. Now next thing I'm going to do here is that there'll be like some curves underneath. All right. So what we'll do is that there's a border radius. All right, so it's 30. Or so I just put the border radius as 30. Okay, done. Now the next thing we need to notice is that this border radius, the top is not meant to be there. Like we're not meant to have border radius for the top, so just delete that, unlock and delete, like that. So that's it. So come over to our design here, and you can just do the same thing when you put text side by side. Then you put another border here, or another you know container here. So the way you do it basically is that you can click on the stack, and then you can choose a container. Basically, you can drag that container down. All right, you can drag that container down, and then you can edit the size of the container. You can put a row inside and control and create your own design from there. So that's the way you do it. So like I said, if you want access to my own design that I did, you can become a student. As a student, you have access to all my designs or any app I ever built and showcase on this channel. All right, now let's see. I think so we're done with this feature here. You even this one to just copy the color and everything, and that's what Figma can do for you. So next thing is edit cart. All right. So edit cart. So I think this edit cart too is quite simple. Is you follow the you follow the same format, right? You follow the same format. Now I'm going to show you a simple range of how I was able to build it. Now, if you come to my own section here, you come over to edit cart. Now, basically, this is an app bar, right? And an app bar basically is like the top section of an app, right? You can do it. You might not use an app bar in your own, but I use an app bar. And in that app bar, I put a row. That row, I put, two rows. I think one row and then a text here. And this row has a space between on. Then I have like, I think this section here, I think I copied the color. So this color is actually white, but it's off white. It's like it's not full white. They made it invisible basically. Like, let me show you. So if I click on my widget tree and I click on this section here, okay, we can look at the container. You can see that it's actually white but toned down, like I think it's 13% or something. You can scroll, you can take the color down to make it come close to invisible, right? So that's how I got that design there. Then this text here, and then you can put, I think I put a row here, put a container here. Then this row has a space between also to space out all the elements, and that's how I actually did it. So it's quite simple. Basically, it's simple. If you have any question, any specific question about any kind of feature in the app that you are not able to actually clone to, then tell me in the comment section down below. So okay guys, that's it for today. I enjoyed the video today and I enjoyed making it. So make sure you leave comments down below. You can message me on WhatsApp if you need any extra help, or you want to join my training academy. I would love to have you there. Now I can't wait to make the next video about the back end of this food delivery app and many other things. So also leave suggestions in the comments below of other videos I should make about no code and Flutterflow, and yeah, I would love to do that. Stay tuned.